Hello, Gripaholics! Thanks for listening today. It is episode 127 of This Week in Grip, and once again, it's just I, King of Pinch, Napalm Jedd Johnson, and James Professor Crowbar Rederides. Alan is actually helping out a dude, taking him to the airport so he can move back to Florida, and he's just tied up today, so he's not with us. He will be back soon, though, so we did not throw him out over the top rope of the Battle Royal. He's not eliminated from the show, everybody, so just calm your horses. He's just been busy. Yeah. Hey, take a second and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell as hard as you can without breaking that screen on your iPhone, because I know that's a problem for iPhones. But hit it so you get a notification every time a new video comes out here on the channel. Also, go ahead and give us a like, a big thumbs up. That will help us out tremendously. It shows that people care about our show, and we're doing a free show here for everybody, so make sure that you do at least that, and naturally we want to hear your feedback on the topics that we talk about. We're going to be discussing the Arnold Classic and the Rogue record breakers, specifically the Anvil grip that Luke and several other men and women participated in just yesterday. First, I want to apologize because we recorded a show on Sunday of last week. As you may know, we record on Sundays. I don't generally get a chance to put the show up or even edit it on Sunday. It's usually I try to do it beginning of the week, and I didn't get to it until later on in the week. And before you knew it, the Arnold Classic Expo was canceled, the arm lifting competition was canceled, and all kinds of other stuff ended up happening. So therefore, I didn't get to even work on it until Saturday of this weekend as we're talking right now. So please just bear with me on that. Some of the weeks at the gym are very, very busy. I'm not trying to hold these episodes hostage. It's just sometimes I gotta wait until I get some time in order to get them done. But we are rolling with the discussion today on the Arnold Classic and the Rogue record breakers. And I actually put up a post this morning, James. Not sure if you saw it. I should have tagged you, but I was in a hurry and didn't think about it, brother. But I was wondering what everybody else thought of the presentation that was put on for the competition yesterday. So we'll get into those comments, but let's go ahead and just start talking about what the event was and all that stuff first. James, did you get a chance to watch the competition yesterday, either live or after it took place?
Yeah, you know what we did? I had a big get-together at my place yesterday, just lifting, arm wrestling stuff. There was about 15 of us, and we actually streamed it so we could watch Luke compete on the Rogue Anvil. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of cool. You know, we were all doing that and cheering on Luke. It was cool to see Luke, finish as high as he did. And I really think if, they did a last man standing kind of thing, I think Luke would have came out on top, personally. I know I'm a little biased. I would imagine you would be too. But,
right.
But I think we both know that lift is right up his alley. So yeah, we were all just sitting around kind of watching it in the in my garage and stuff. And it was cool. It was pretty cool. It's interesting. Well, go ahead.
No, it was cool to have something, grip related featured like that. Last year they did, this year and last year I know they did the Denny hold, then there was also the farmers walk with 2-inch dumbbells. Yeah. Last year.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that they're doing this kind of thing, featuring grip up on this kind of a stage with that level of exposure and all that stuff. So definitely. So that part was really cool, and yeah, I think that the rules the rules of the event were 3 attempts per person, and I think from what Luke said is you basically had to give all the weights you're going to take like before the competition even took place, or if I misunderstood that, you had to give them, like, they were really strict with it, dude. Like, there wasn't no playing around, like, well, maybe I'll take 240, maybe I'll take 250. Like, you had to be, like, specific with your attempts. So I don't know when exactly the placement or, you know, the timing of it was, but, like, it was pretty strict, especially with the 3 lifts and 3 attempts, dude. Like,
yeah.
Dude, and Luke said it was like a brand new implement with, like, the grease on it still. Like, the stuff they put on it to keep it from rusting so it looks shiny and brand new when you get it, that was still on there, dude. It was like a pristine new Anvil.
So did they at least clean it off, and did Luke whisper chalk onto it?
I know there was a clip where I think it was, I saw Sarah Saffel putting chalk on the ladies' Anvil,
mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if they were able to take a towel to it or what. Luke kind of made it sound like they were lifting on top of the grease, the oil, you know, whatever, the preservative, whatever you want to call it, you know. So.
Well, that makes those numbers even more impressive.
Yeah.
You know, it's like taking an axle and, you know, putting a layer of Crisco on it and then having people lift. So yeah, pretty impressive numbers, actually, I thought. You know, I was impressed with the numbers, but I guess they're even more impressive now that I know that there was, like, grease on it. So,
yeah. And I'm trying to find like a competitor list, James. Like, I thought I saw one on the site, but it's not on the Rogue page for the streaming.
I looked at it yesterday too, and they had, like, just a few pictures of featured lifters,
mm-hmm.
but they didn't have, like, the whole competitors list. I couldn't find that yesterday or today.
Darn it!
But you know, one of the things I would say was, like, you had mentioned the Denny hold.
Right.
Well, of course, the people that you had taken umbrage with before, powerlifting legends or whatever, they posted a video of Mark Felix holding the Denny's for 34 seconds, or the Rogue replicas of the Denny's for 34 seconds, and saying it was a record.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a world record. It says world record at the top. Well, it's a record on those Rogue stones, but, you know, anyone that has followed grip for a while would know that Mark Haydock has and Brian Hunsacker have been the guys that have, you know, set the records on the actual official Denny stones. And I think Haydock has got the record right now, over 40 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he did it with a hook grip, and then Brian has the record for non-hook grip.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't. Did you have a chance to look at Mark Felix's grip on it yesterday?
It didn't look like a hook grip to me. I didn't see. I only saw, like, the last few seconds, and I didn't watch, like, the live stream or anything. It ended up coming across as a clip. But no, I didn't see that.
Yeah. So were you in touch with Luke during the Anvil session?
Not during. I texted with him earlier that morning, and then I texted with him I sent him a text right beforehand, but I didn't hear back until afterwards. I'm sure he wasn't really messing around with his phone too much during the competition. It looked like the pace was pretty darn quick. So
yeah,
you know, I'm sure he didn't have a ton of time to do that.
Yeah. So he wasn't messing around with his phone a la Storm Chileno.
Right. For once, these guys were not on their phones. It was hard to believe. There was actually a picture that I saw on Facebook where it's like the first picture I ever saw where Luke didn't have his phone in his hand. So. So what I'm going to do is Sarah Chapello sent the stream, the clip of just the Anvil lift, and I'm going to see if I can grab, like, a still shot. Here we go. So Adrian Wilson, Sarah Saffel, D. Moore, not sure the D. D. Llewellyn, Sarah Chapello, Kay Benito, and Jen Tibbenham are the ladies that were lifting. So Wilson, Saffel, Llewellyn, Chapello, Benito are all from the United States. D. Moore and Tibbenham are from England.
I know Adrienne and her husband Joe.
Yep.
Because they're like yearly, they're at Sorinex Summer Strong, and they do Highland Games. And I know Joe has been like a world-class Highland Games guy. So.
Absolutely, yes. I know those guys too. Awesome people, both of them.
Yeah, and I know Sarah, who was going after a record, drum roll, on the Rogue Anvil, ended up pulling. Do you have the number there? I think it's 170. Was it 177?
Oh, it's on Facebook, and I clicked the link that was on the post below that, dude. So if I go back, I'm going to lose my spot on the video. It was 170 something, as I recall.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm looking at the Felix thing now. He held those stones for 31.6.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 31.4 seconds rather. So I was just looking at that. So I was off on that.
Yeah, by the sounds, he just barely beat his record. And
yeah,
like, it's not like he said, "Oh, I'm past it. I'm going to set him down now." Like that was his maximum hold by the looks.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'm going to take a look at Sarah's thing. Yeah, 170 pounds exactly.
Okay.
And she had set the record for the ladies. I think that's awesome because Sarah's representing grip sport, and she is Queen Kong after all.
Yeah.
So she brought her crown over to the Arnold. Jedd, have you been looking at some of the memes, the Corona Classic memes?
Yeah, I've seen a few of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So she is the Corona Classic champion as well. Now she can add that to the list.
That's awesome.
So it would have been really cool. I mean, if you think about it. Because I know you've been on the main stage of the Arnold. I've been on the main stage of the Arnold, and there's just something about that electricity. All those people there, that giant movie screen. You can look up from the arm wrestling table over your opponent's shoulder, and you're on this huge screen. Yeah. And just the energy in the room. It would have been really cool to see Sarah and Luke and Adrienne and all the people that have really invested a lot of time in grip strength and in the craft, and been able to see them really get to do it on that big stage with all that crowd. But
sure, no doubt about it.
The governor of Ohio decided coronavirus is too much of a concern. It's not like you can't go to a Cleveland Cavaliers game, though.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With tens of thousands of people and interact with them.
It believe it or not, it wasn't just the Arnold that got shut down like that. Brian Hunsaker actually told me that he had something going on in the Northwest that was also shut down. It was also an expo that was going on, and spectators, the fairgoers or whatever, were not permitted inside. So it was only a few key individuals that were allowed to go. So the paranoia, dude, it's just ridiculous. I mean,
it is.
I
get the concern, but creating hysteria around it, like the news media has been like that's been just so problematic. I mean, it's like it just makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
It's like I'm one of those people that I'm like not concerned about it in the least personally. Do I worry about, older people and small children and, people who could be more severely affected by it? Yeah, of course. But like, my God, you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
It's like you can't look at anything and not, whether it's on TV or on your phone or in conversations, it just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
And especially in my business, I mean, I'm working with people with, severe anxiety a lot. So to them, it's like, oh my gosh, you take somebody who's got OCD, and, you start talking, they start bringing up coronavirus and they're going to get worked up pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, the hysteria just makes it worse.
Yeah.
It just makes it worse. And
we got a call from my dad, and he's like, hey, I bought a whole bunch of these masks, so don't go buying any. I got plenty. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So even he bought into it. But
I like the thing Jason Steve shared with the lady talking about don't touch your face.
Yeah.
She's like reading the speech and she touches her tongue and then like switches the page.
Yeah, dude. Beautiful.
Oh man.
It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So why don't I go ahead and correct the women's list right now, because I found the roster. So for the women, it was Adrienne Wilson, Sarah Saffel, Donna Moore, Danielle Llewellyn, Sarah Chapello, Kristen Benito, and Jen Tibbenham. Those were the ladies. For the men, it was Luke Raymond, Mike Saffel, Tom Stoltman, Luke Stoltman, Eric Dawson, and Mark Felix. So I just want to point out also that Rogue, clarified whether the person qualified through video or got invited. So the qualified women were Adrienne Wilson, Sarah Saffel, Danielle Llewellyn, Sarah Chapello, Kristen Benito, and Jen Tibbenham. Donna Moore got invited. So do you know who that is? Who is Donna Moore?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. And then all the men, Luke Raymond, Mike Saffel, and Eric Dawson were sent in qualification videos. The Stoltmans got invited, and then Mark Felix got invited. So the other guys didn't even send in. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't want to say I'm wrong. Like I'm going to do my best, James, during this call, not to be belligerent and express my opinions in a way that will make everyone hate me. But certain things about this competition really certain things about this competition could have been done a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And
so instead of like you don't want to go off on it.
Yeah.
Just talk a little bit about what you saw as problematic.
Right. So
the
first thing that caught me off guard is, there's a list of qualified people, and then all of a sudden Mark Felix is stuck in there. Like, not that he's not qualified. Mark Felix is tremendous. But, I was like, well, who else are they going to invite in there? Like, was Brian Shaw going to get added? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to – I didn't realize they were going to do that. Maybe they said from the beginning they were going to add people in there. I think this is really, really low on the problematic points because it's Rogue's contest. They can invite whoever they want to, basically. Yeah. But I guess this goes under the category of caught me off guard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And then I don't know who Donna Moore is. I just don't know. I'm not as familiar with the women's strength athletics, whether she might be a strongman, a power lifter, strong woman, power lifter. I'm not Highland Games. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so, I wasn't either.
But
no.
But we'll get into more of that stuff as we go along. What's your opinion on having people just invited into the thing? What seemed to be last minute to me.
Well, I mean, I have a little bit of experience with this just from arm wrestling because, there's been invitationals before, and the goal is to kind of invite people that deserve to be there. I think the thing that you usually do to sort of mitigate the invitational thing is instead of, bitching about who does and doesn't get invited and who is overlooked because, people are always going to get overlooked. I mean, I pulled in an event that was supposed to be top 10 in North America at 198. And, there were people there who, I had beaten. There were people there who had beaten me. There were people there who could have been there that had beaten me and beaten some of the people there. So they were upset that they weren't invited kind of thing.
Right.
So, I mean, the way to sort of mitigate that usually is to have qualifiers. And I think what Rogue did by having qualifying lifts, is a good thing. I think sometimes what happens, and I've noticed this from being someone who's put on my own events before, is if you don't have somebody show up and you still have slots to fill,
right?
It's like you look around. Well, who's got the star power? You got like a Brian Shaw or a Mark Felix, somebody that people know. It's like, well, you can just plug them right in.
Yeah. That's a great point.
I mean, you can make the argument that they've paid their dues, kind of thing.
Sure.
You know,
absolutely.
And yeah, but sure, does it make it all the way fair, a level playing field? No. I mean, I personally, if I'm looking at a record breakers event, if you're going to call it a record breakers event, you know, I would like to see in that event, you know, Luke and Gil and, you know, Thomas Larson, you know, like the guys that are really, really good anvil lifters. I'd like to see them go head to head, you know, and I'd like it to be, well, you know, send in a qualifying video. And if your, you know, video qualifies you for this, you know, if you lift what, I don't know, only 5 other people who sent in videos could lift, then come on in. You know, we'll have you in. But yeah, I think with those sort of things, you want to see the cream of the crop, and you want people to be able to pay their dues to get to the main stage. So I do understand that sentiment. Yeah,
right.
I do.
Yep. I can live with it too. So I guess I was coming at that from an angle of I'm pulling for Luke to win this and bring home $1,000, and now they're throwing in these ringers. So I'm like,
you know,
that ain't right, bro. But it obviously, you know, it's their competition. You got to roll with it.
There's that part of Luke too, though, that is ultra competitive, and I think, you know, I mean, you can see it in him. I mean, you know Luke better than I do, but you can see that Luke is ultra competitive and wants to be the best in the world at stuff. So, you know, when you have that going on, it's like, I think there's a part of you that just like, like let anybody in. You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to be like, let anybody in. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
I heard somebody had said that some plumber came out of the crowd and lifted the inch with both hands yesterday. Did you hear about that?
Was that?
I think
it happened. It happened yesterday. Is that what that was? I heard the story, but I thought it was like something in the past. I wasn't. I might not have caught it though.
Oh, okay. Jason was saying it yesterday when we were all training, but you know.
I thought Bill Crawford was relating a story from the past. Don't hold me to it, man. I
was
didn't.
It like on the grip board or something?
No. It took place during what you said was related by Bill Crawford during the broadcast. It definitely happened. I just didn't catch whether he was talking about something that happened yesterday or the day before, or if it happened like years ago in the past at a different saying. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he definitely talks about it. Yeah.
Oh, it might have been. Yeah, it might have been that. Like it could have been like he was talking about it, and Jason was like, "Oh, did you see this guy?" or "Did you hear this guy?" And I just took it as some guy did it the other day.
Right.
But,
it might have been, bro. It might have been.
Yeah.
Hey, Donna Moore is a strong woman competitor. She's got an Instagram. She looks to be extremely strong, explosive, powerful. I mean, some of these things, she's got some tremendous numbers. On her Instagram, she's got blonde hair. I don't even remember, like, how bad is my memory that I don't even remember a blonde-haired girl competing yesterday besides Adrian Wilson. Yeah.
Well, your memory is pretty bad, Jedd.
Well, maybe. Well, and there was
that, but
there was a very strong-looking woman who was competing that had dark hair. I just wonder if maybe she colored her hair darker for this competition or something. I don't know.
It's possible. It is possible.
So some other grievances that I would like to air them. So I thought that they could have done
on the side of caution.
Such a better job with the dress code. So like some of these guys have their shirt tails tucked in. Some of them they're not. I'm just kidding, dude. That's not one of them. Brad Ardrey walking around like a slob. Brad Gillingham looking around, professional, tucked in. No,
well, we saw both of the Rosenthals there. So.
Right.
Yeah. We saw
them. No, the commentary, dude, was driving me insane. It made it hard as a grip guy, as a born, bred, decades in the sport grip guy. It kills me to hear people talk about stuff they don't know about, and it was painfully obvious to know that these guys, you know, when you did the announcing at Living Legends, dude, you seemed to ask every single person for background information. You had, like, stats. You had hometowns. You had titles that they'd won, records that they'd performed. These guys had nothing. They didn't even say Luke's name. And I'm not saying that because Luke's one of my best friends. They never said his name. Like, he was up there and actually was in the screen one time, and they didn't even say his name. It's like they didn't know his name. So, like, it was just painful.
Well, I know. A lot of times the broadcast quality on those things is just not good.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's one of the things, whenever I did a broadcast, you know, I always did more than enough homework. Mm-hmm. Like, I had pages and pages and pages of notes, and I went over them to try to memorize them so that I could just sort of, you know, flow pretty freely on the air. But I remember when I was doing the CBS work and they sent me some previous Vendetta footage, and, you know, they're like, you know, we'll just try to take from this. And I'm listening to it. This one guy's on there. I don't think he ever arm wrestled or had any idea what arm wrestling was.
Right.
I mean, he kept saying the same thing over and over again and had, like, just no clue what he was talking about.
Yeah.
But he was acting all sort of pretentious, like he understood.
Right.
And I was just like, this is like, if I just have to do better than this, you guys are going to think I'm fantastic. You know what I mean? Because it was awful.
Dude, one of the worst WWF wrestling broadcasts was, like, WrestleMania, I think WrestleMania 9 or something. They brought in this guy, Art Donovan, because I think the pay-per-view was in his hometown, so he was like a local celebrity, and he knew nothing about wrestling. The broadcast yesterday harkened back to that.
Oh, no.
It's like you know, they're not only
Jerry the King.
Yeah, I don't think he was there doing mic work at that point. You know, it was like they knew so little about. Dude, you got 6 men and 7 women. You got to have some bio information. There's no reason for them to keep continually hearkening back to the Denny Stone holds and the frame carry that would be coming up later. There's absolutely it was so hard.
Broadcast.
What?
It's a lazy broadcast.
It's a lazy broadcast, dude. Like, and you know what they probably figured? No one's going to watch this. This is when people are going to go for. It's like the popcorn break during a wrestling or a popcorn match during a wrestling show. It's like the match that they know no one's going to watch. So they probably thought no one's really going to watch this. It's not the strongman, so we don't really need to put much effort into it. But what Evan told me was that there was parts about the strongman events that these guys were really lackluster about. Like, the commentary wasn't that great during the strongman events either. Dude, and I'm not saying something I wouldn't say to anybody else. I texted Steve Slater, who works for Rogue Fitness, and I said, dude, you should have me come out and do commentary for the grip stuff next year because these guys don't know anything about grip.
Have the both of us do it.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. You know,
I like how we're sitting here talking about how we could just do better than them.
Right. I'm assuming I could because they did so badly. But I know that I would have prepared 100 times better than they did. If I would have known that I was going in, I would have contacted all the women, all the men, asked them for information. I wouldn't have just gone by memory. I would have had the printed out notes clearly laid out in front of me. I would have been one step ahead of the game. I would have been anticipating all this stuff. I would have tried to get the numbers that the people were going to be choosing for the lifts. Like, they didn't know because it was out of time. They one time they tried to say, okay, this is so and so coming up. They had already lifted. So
I know.
And they didn't know who the lifters were. I mean, it was just so painful.
Yeah, it was not good. You know, one of the things that I would ask though is because I was trying to figure this out because at one point we just had the volume off and we were watching it.
Yeah.
What was a good lift? Like, how were they judging it? Exactly.
Dude, I know that they were going. I don't know what the rules were. Okay. I know you had to go. I didn't see the rules. I think maybe Luke and I talked about them at one point, and I recall that they were going to be looking for lockout, a fairly strict lockout. I didn't have personally, I didn't have too much problem with the calls that were given. I don't know what I would have done. The one lady, I don't know who it was bracing her hand against her thigh so obviously, and if her lifts were going to get called good, I think I might have found a way to teleport to Columbus. It was so blatantly obvious that she was bracing, and picking it up and like it maybe touches against your sweatpants or grazes against your hand incidentally is one thing, but it was blatant, and I'm so glad that whoever the judge was didn't allow that. Why did you ask about what the rules were, James? I anticipated what you meant, but I want to get it from your words.
Because there wasn't a crossbar. And when they would lift, sometimes I'd be like, oh, did they call that good? Did they call it I just didn't know what they were looking for. Were they looking for the shoulder to be back, and the lifter to be in an upright position, or because sometimes they'd call good and it was obviously lifted under control, but the lifter's lifting shoulder was still slumped forward, and I'm like, well, what are they going by? I guess I just didn't know what they were going by.
I didn't.
Right.
I don't have that information. I do not have that information. It kind of goes back to the inch dumbbell one-hand lifts. We on the grip board, we said you don't have to pull your lifting shoulder back. You have to lock out your other shoulder because in order to do that, a lot of times you have to brace the inch against your leg in order to do it, which doesn't look any better. So
you got to hit yourself in the junk.
Yeah. So some of these lifts, that's why I think lockout is bullshit, and I'll never say it's not. I talked about this with Adam Glass briefly. Grip is not powerlifting. Grip is not powerlifting. No. It's not. Yeah. It's not a deadlift with a bar. It's not. And so many of these lifts are the down calls are questionable, and there is no reason. There's no reason why. As far as I know in the United States, the second ever grip contest, there was no lockout. The precedent was a 6-inch lift, and that was Battle for Grip Supremacy. There was no lockout done in that contest the whole entire day. You had to pick stuff up 6 inches. So, I mean, with the exception of Rolling Thunder competitions and things like that, I'm assuming those were for lockout, and I'm betting that those I'm talking about grip contests where there was multiple disciplines contested. That was the standard. As far as Rolling Thunder competitions, no idea. They only ever took place in California, as far as I know. So I was never out there. But
did you see that Arm Lifting USA? They were doing some events that were just held locally. Because Jake Fuller, because the Arnold arm lifting got canceled, they allowed it to free sanctioning. Yes, I saw that. Jake Fuller, who just moved here, and he's going to be training with us, hopefully a lot because he's down in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. He held one, and he managed to hit the 400 mark on the axle. He hit the 200 mark on the Rolling Thunder, and then yesterday he lifted the inch for the first time. He lifted it several times yesterday. So if you do get a chance, I'd like you to look at that on my Instagram. Jedd. Just tell me what you think about his lift of the inch, because I think, again, it's his shoulder isn't back, his lifting shoulder isn't back, but he's holding it under control. It looks like his opposite shoulder is in a good spot. So I don't know, but I'm with you on the whole lockout thing. I really am. I think it's we're trying to measure grip, and lockout is just, when we get to that point, we're talking about minutia. It's We should just be looking for a height of the lift, and that's it.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, some of the competitors grab it in a way that there's no tension on the carabiner or the loading pin, so nothing spins. So, you can get a good 2-3 second hold at the top with a pretty much near maximal weight in a lockout lift when you don't have tension on the carabiner and stuff. If you put tension on the carabiner, even if it's inadvertently because you don't know what you're doing, when you stand up with that, that's going to be rotating, that's going to be turning, that's going to be internally rotating your hand, your forearm, and your upper arm. And A, it's going to be tough for you to hold it, and B, it's going to be an injury risk. So it makes it, I guess what I'm saying is, it makes it tough to hold it out if you're waiting for like a down call after like a 1 second pause or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's something. The clarification of that, to what degree they were going to say, I don't know. I'm not sure. I really don't know.
What was Adam's take on it, though? When you said you were just talking to him about it.
Yeah, that was he thought that there was nothing wrong with lockout, and that I remember he asked me if do you think powerlifting got it all wrong? That was the one phrase, and then
But it's apples and oranges.
It's apples and oranges, precisely. But just to be fair, I told Adam that I didn't have time to really discuss it then. I didn't want to go into it through text because that kind of stuff never works out. So I said, let's try to get on the phone, sometime that week. I never ended up doing that, and we haven't revisited it. So it's not like something that either of us really cared about to even follow up on. It's just at the time, at the time we were talking about it, and then we got away from it. So
I'll tell you, I remember last year when we did that show, I had a great conversation with James Fuller afterwards about it. And it was funny because we disagreed about it, but we spoke for like 90 minutes, and it was this great conversation. Because James was more in Adam's camp, about lockout. So, but
and that's fine. Yeah. That's great, especially when you can discuss something calmly and not become an absolute dick about it. So
exactly. And maybe having Adam on the show sometime would be cool.
Right. And what's better? I don't know if it's a question of what's better, but I know what's easier to call. I know what's a lot easier. And
you want something that's consistent to call, and you want to measure grip strength. That's
my interest. Yes, exactly. That's my interest. So we could fight about whether the guy got to lock out on the axle and held it there, or we could just make people touch stuff onto a crossbar, and there's absolutely no discussion needed. So
that's cool. So we have no idea about what the rules were at the Rogue Record Breakers. But that's okay. Maybe
I just know it was to lockout. I don't know if there was supposed to be a full second pause or what. And if it ripped out of your hand, it didn't count. So if you got it to lockout and it ripped out of your hand, then they weren't allowing it. I know that you got 3 attempts, and that if you failed during your attempt, you could like try again until the time ran out. But I'm not 100% sure, A, how long you had for your attempt, B, when that time started. Like, was it 60 seconds from your name being announced? Was it 60 seconds from when you got done chalking it? Was the chalking included? I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah. So do we want to go over the winners of the events?
Yeah, the winners were, no surprise to hear this name, Sarah Chapello. Absolutely, she just did amazing. She's so deliberate. Like, it's like she has complete command of everything, no wasted motion. She just goes up there and gets it done. It's very impressive to watch her compete, especially being able to do so in person. And I hope I have the opportunity to do that again in April when we run the United States Championship. And then Eric Dawson, who seems to be like an absolute giant of a man, won for the men. I believe his lift was 240, beating Luke by either 5 or 10 pounds. I'm still not sure what Luke ended up lifting.
I thought it said that Luke ended up with 235. So I think he beat him by 5 pounds. But I mean, the lift that I saw looked like Luke had command over 235.
Right.
So, I mean, I know, like, I've seen Luke on those implements, and I know he had posted that one video with 240 for several reps or 250 or something.
Yeah.
So I know he could have, he would have, if it was a last man standing thing, you know, especially after watching him and Thomas Larson at Legends go last man standing on the Legends Anvil.
Yeah.
I really don't have any doubt that Luke would have had the endurance and sort of the top end strength to pull it out.
Right. Right. I think very few. I don't think there's many people in the world on a cone shaped or a vertical bar shaped implement would have more endurance in a last man standing affair than Luke. I just don't see it happening, because the numbers that he can pull for in just one continuous set with minimal breaks in between lifts is mind bending. It's crazy. Eric Dawson seems like a very, very strong dude, and I just think in this case, with the very strict policies on the attempt choices, man, it just didn't work in Luke's favor this time around, and definitely I think if it was last man standing, he would have taken it.
And maybe if he knew what Eric's picks were, because you had said they had to pick the numbers before they went up to lift. Maybe if he knew what Eric's picks were, he would have, you know, tried to go to 245 instead of 235.
Yeah, and I don't know if he knew that or not. I really don't know. I wish I did. I know that the commentators basically were saying that it seemed like they were saying that Mark Felix was going to run away with the thing, and then he failed at like 230 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
didn't he end up in like 6th or something? Or I thought, where did he end up? I forget.
Well, I didn't see a standings, James, so I really don't know. I wish I did. It could be out there somewhere, but I don't know.
No.
I really don't.
It was just yesterday afternoon, and I haven't seen one either. So
yeah.
So it'll come more clear to us obviously at some point this week.
Yeah.
You know, something will get posted about it, but people need to know we're recording this like, you know, the day after, and the event took place, and there's not any information out there other than what we've seen from people on social media, and I'm sure the conversation you've had with Luke. So. Right,
and I haven't even really talked to him. We've only texted a little bit. I wasn't sure if Luke was driving home last night or if he was staying there in Columbus and then driving home this morning. I really don't know. I trained today, but Luke wasn't there. It was Evan and I today. So I haven't even talked to Luke yet.
Okay.
Might be a good idea. I might be able to line that up, that we take a few minutes, you know, during one of the training sessions this week and just kind of cover what exactly went down and put it up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool for sure. So yeah, man. Anything else from the Arnold? I know the arm wrestlers. They all got together at this one bar. It seemed like every night and just arm wrestled, because you know the Arnold arm wrestling got canceled.
Yeah.
You know, as did arm lifting, and it was a bummer because you know last week Jedd and I put together a show, you know, doing the previews of the Arnold Classic arm lifting. So you know, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But and I really think that the arm lifting was going to be quite an event, just considering the names that were going to be there, and I hope at some point in the near future we can get all those names back, you know, to lift again.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Man, wish I had the standings for the Anvil, but I don't. But you know, hey, dude, you know what? The silver lining of all this is this kind of thing took place in front of a lot of people, and I think it raised the awareness at least slightly of grip sport and arm lifting, and that's all good. So
sure.
And I would love to see a lot of these men and women competitors come to the United States Championship, which is taking place on April 18th in Wyalusing, Pennsylvania. So
that sounds good.
What else would we need to hit on, James, regarding the road?
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure either. Before I forget, dude, there's a long-time grip competitor that I am friends with, and you know this guy's name. His name is Cody Burns. And this poor son of a gun just had surgery on his extensor tendon. He said he fell on New Year's Eve, I believe, and almost ripped him completely off the bone. So hoping that he's on the mend, and I'm sure that he will bounce back and be stronger than he was when that happened. There's lots of people pulling for you, Cody, so keep your head up and stay positive.
Yep, I love me some Cody Burns. So
yeah, dude.
I hope he's feeling better soon. I really do.
Yep.
Rehab can be a bummer, so I hope he's back at it soon.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it that I had, James.
Okay. Well, we had a little get together here yesterday. We had a bunch of people do some awesome lifting. Pork chop brought his stones and a log, and we had 2 arm wrestling tables going, and we had inch lifting, and we had Fred and Barney, our 2 Flintstone wheels that we pinch with. We broke those out, and people were doing grippers, and Jason bent a red nail under contest conditions, so he's going to be certain soon.
Cool.
Did a whole bunch of hammer stuff, and it was a really good time. We had a blast, and Robert Miller ended up staying the night, and Pork Chop stayed until like 1 in the morning. We just watched movies and drank and chilled. So it was a good time, and we're going to probably do one of those again soon once the weather warms up here. So if you're in the area, if you're in the Carolinas or nearby, hit us up. We get together, we have a good time. So
that's awesome.
I guess that's all that I would add. Anything else, Jedd?
No, dude, I'm bled dry. Why don't you take it away, brother?
All right. Again, you're asking me to be Alan Hynek. There is only one Alan Hynek.
There's only one. One. And we're glad there's only one. Oh, my gosh. Could you imagine if there were more than one of that? I mean, they'll never make another one like Alan Hynek. That's what I mean. That's what I meant to say.
No, the one and only. I've been crying tears of sorrow into my pillow every time Alan misses a show. So. Right. Well, anyway, I know you told me what number this
127, dude. 127.
There you go. This was episode 127 of This Week in Grip. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below, especially if you have some information about the Arnold that we don't. And we will get back at you next time, hopefully within a week. Toodles.